Oh, I am so challenged. I'm trying to plug it in. Oh, nothing's working for me today. It's one of those days. Somebody said, oh God, yeah, put your camera up a bit higher, then you get a better viewpoint. They say it's so easy to do, but it's wobbly. Oh my God, you're just looking at a blank wall now. Oh, I'm just making myself a brew. I've got a little Cala, a little tiny cooker, not a cooker, a burner thing with a Cala gas bottle, so I can make brews. But I keep forgetting to have pots here. When I come out to the shed, I call it my shed, but it's my studio. But I'm not big-headed, so it's a shed. I might have to stutter for the word studio. Right, so I'm using my painting cups where I mix my paints. Oh, I don't even know if this is gonna work because my camera is so wobbly. Oh God's teeth! I don't want to actually just view. Oh shoot! A blank wall. Hi, this is Colette from Soul Life Living, staggering along with my lack of skills, but pre-starter, I will fidget. I will say and I will do this while I'm thinking and scratch my head and stuff. So if you're one of those people that likes somebody to sit still, this is probably not for you. I'll try and control my arm waving. Having said all that, I'm not going to control anything. I'm just going to do what I'm doing. And anyway, so today I thought, because it's been popping up in my mind, and I tried to make, I'm trying to make these, the plan was I'll make them linear so that they go, you know, in a yearly fashion kind of a thing, from one thing to another. But then I found that there were things popping up to be listened to and spoken about that threw my plan out. And I can hear them laughing. I'll teach you not to be so static. But anyway, so I'm just going to talk about the things that crop up that have triggered me. So one of them is my ability to attract narcissists, which I've learned is because of my vulnerability and how damaged I grew up. And I was so desperate for a little bit of love and attention. It left me with holes in my auric field, my energy field. And because narcissists, they're really smart, they're really clever, they can sense it. They can sense somebody that is vulnerable. It's like a superpower in them. It's not even something they think about. They just know. And so once I was saying, oh, you know, why am I keep attracting these types of people? Because by then a little niggle had gone on that said, these are all the issues from your past lives that tripped you up, that you keep falling into and you keep tripping up, and then everything ends horribly and you die. And you have to go through that lesson so you learn something that you learn for yourself, something that you learn and you can pass on. And until you experience all the different kinds of these sorts of people in all forms, shapes, sizes, you won't be resilient to attack. And because of your vulnerability, because I'm carrying the weight of everybody else's, down the line, everybody else's weaknesses, you know, weaknesses. You know, if you've got a hole in the damn wall, it's going to blooming leak, isn't it? So weaknesses that keep tripping them up, that they haven't managed to get over because they haven't been strong enough in spirit, or their world has been so linear and flat and devoid of compassion, that they have suffered at the hands and died of without any support, sort of that kind of thing. So I was like, why? Yeah, you have to have all their lessons and you have to beat them, clear them and come through. And you can't clear them until you've learnt them all. Oh, and I haven't learnt them all yet. No. Oh. So part of that was having to, because of the way that I am, I shut down my feelings to help others. It's a people-pleasing thing. But because I don't want to be abandoned again, I allow more than I should. So I've been targeted by a predator who then will extract everything that they need from me. And then when I finally don't manage to cope with it anymore and I start reacting against it, then I am ridiculed and fault-finded and lied about in public, so that I have no support whatsoever outside of myself from anybody. You know, some people I've had that have supported me, but I've also, in that state, attracted more narcissists. Like a bleeding sponge, like a sponge. I was like a sponge. So I've had to go through all of that before I've got enough evidence to look back on and decide, right. And one of the things that put me off doing that was I'd have to sit down and say, right, I need some help. Just show me the people that I need to write down, and all the ways that they make me feel that I shut down and move over and forgive and accept and tolerate. And because I'm so aware that I'm faulty, that I understand how I must be really irritating. But I grew up with being told I was really irritating, so that's how I know I'm really irritating. And I do see people being irritated by me, but that's mainly because I'm really, really different. And when I look back, yes, there are times where I've done things that are irritating, really annoying and downright dangerous. And there are times where I haven't. So those times where I haven't been, and I've been doing everything expected of me, and I'm still being criticised and slagged off behind my back, of course, and manipulated. Those times, those are the times that I needed to look at, and it's a parallel investigation between when I'm being irritating and when I'm not being irritating, and the reactions and treatment of such things. Hang on, I'm going to pause it because my heater's gone off and my legs are cold. Back. It's a new electric heater. It's really good and I like it. It's nice and clean and it's not my burner and I don't have to fanny horse about with it. But I'm not really 100% about using it. And because I didn't have the money, it's a manually switchy button thing. I can set the temperatures and everything so it comes on and off. It's not that dim. But I can't just use a remote control. I've been very dangerous with the remote control. I have been very dangerous with the remote control, but never mind. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, parallel investigations of when I'm irritating, when I'm not, and who does it in my world. And I've had to write down every single person that I can remember and where it went. And quite often, I overgave. I inadvertently made them a bit codependent, in as much as they thought they owned me and they'd got me, and I would have to do everything they want. So it's like an unpaid servant. And I would be running around looking after all my family and everything, and then running around doing all that for everybody else. And there wasn't anybody running around after me. So I was exhausted. And so eventually I'd have to say no to somebody, and then they would kick off, and I'd be the big bad wolf and blah, blah, blah. But really, You know, I had constant migraines because I was fatigued, and because I've got my own hereditary health issues, a lot of which were not diagnosed and weren't even known about at the time. It's really difficult to get any empathy, or, well, not empathy, understanding, especially when I'm not pulling my weight and doing what I should be doing, because I'm just too ill. You know, God, I've spent years crawling around on the floor because I used to get monthly migraines that would last a week. So I'd have 3 weeks where I could work and do things, and then a week where I was completely incapacitated, crawling around with tights tied around my head with a knot impressing on the side of my head, and doing things when really I should have been resting, but I couldn't because my workload was so big. And most of my workload was okay, but the extra weight dumped on me by other people, in that, ask a busy woman to do something. No, don't fucking ask a busy woman to do something. If you can't see how busy she is and you can't do it yourself, then fuck off and find some other bugger that hasn't got as much to do. Excuse my Anglo-Saxon, but I didn't used to feel like that, but I do now. Stop asking busy women to do things. I don't know who brought up that saying, but they should be put in stocks on a public green and pelted with rotten tomatoes. I take that back because it's a bit violent, but nonetheless, you know, my shadow self gets a great deal of pleasure from imagining these things for people. And I indulge because she's allowed to have her say, and she's allowed to come up with things. She's never going to do anything horrible to anybody about it because it's just not her way. But she is allowed to come up with these fantastic scenarios of how to punish lazy arse, greedy people. So, back to the learning lesson so I had to write down everybody that treated me like that, and what my trigger point was, my turning point was. And a lot of the time, my turning point was I was so exhausted. Oh, sorry, I was just looking at that painting. I was so exhausted that I just literally couldn't do any more. And this caused heart fluctuations, because, you know, my entire family is heart disease, death, or strokes, death. And so I'm very lucky to manage as I am. But there was a limit. I have a lower limit of extreme outlay without any rest inlay. Because of that, I got a lot of really serious illnesses that some of them I can't even remember. Like, I lost a whole year to glandular fever, and I don't remember any of it. I just remember hearing the doctor saying, well, she'll either live or die. So that was the main thing. And then I had to decide how to drop that person, how to get away from that person. Because if I stood there and I said I can't do any more, please don't ask me for anything else for a couple of months, because I can't do add anymore. And then they would then slag me off, and then people who would say hello to me would stop saying hello to me, and I'd be outside at the school, and there'd be a group, but they wouldn't say hello to me as a group. One woman actually said she didn't like me because I wore odd socks. I did wear odd socks. I quite often wear odd socks. I wore odd socks for decades when I was younger, out of deference to my fairy people that supported me. And their support meant more to me than the support on real terms. So I have to just roll with that. So I went through everything. And every time that happened to me, it left a wound that I ignored because I didn't know any better. And then another wound and another wound. And what I eventually found at this point where I was asking why, what, was that they left holes, added holes into an already holy aura. And that now was the time, my time had come, to learn how to heal that aura and to acknowledge that not everybody that approached me for help was good and had good motives at heart. They wanted what they wanted for themselves. They weren't interested in a friendship. They quite often repelled my friendship because they don't want that side of me. They just want me to step in and help them because I'm a very competent woman. And I had to start looking at these holes in my psyche, and each hole was attached to a trauma event. And the challenge was you have to go through them one at a time, right from the beginning. And then they can come out and we can heal them. And we've got healers here that can heal these things. And because my guide was saying that to me, then I have to go with it. So I did. So if you're in a position where you've acknowledged that you keep attracting the same kind of narcissistic, predatory people around you, it's because you've got holes in your psyche, and they're usually from wounds, and they're from past wounds that you're carrying through, or they're your own on top. And it's horrible to have to do it, but once you get into it, it's really, really good. You write them down, and you just do, sometimes all I could manage was one sentence, and I couldn't manage any more than that on page. It was just one sentence to write out. But eventually that one sentence built, and every now and then I'd have a surge, and those surges triggered visions, sometimes awake visions, sometimes asleep visions, all linked. And because they're all like metaphors, but they're linked via music, and because I'm used to interpreting what I want to say and what I want to know by music, it made it easier for them to contact me. But once I started doing that, I mean, the amount of spiritual help that came in to me when I started to do that. So if you start doing that, because you're tired and weary and you're exhausted of doing all the work and being targeted, you've got to start right from the beginning of who it was that set you up and why and what it made you feel. And when you do that and you ask Spirit to help heal that, they will oblige, because it is. And they'll send whatever help you need, but it starts a door opening to that world, to allow them in to help you, because they can't step through it. You have to ask for help. But it makes a huge difference to your earthly online presence, your earthly self, when you start doing that, because now I'm sensing them coming. One of my students, a beautiful soul she was, beautiful. She said, "Can I bring my friend?" And I went, "Oh yeah, get there," because she's a lovely person. I expected this to know a lovely person. He brought this person, and banged the doorbell, and I opened the door, and my head went, "Narcissist!" I could feel my whole body dread, because it's my home. No narcissists are allowed in my home. But I couldn't say no. I should have said no, but I couldn't, because I felt for the beautiful soul that brought her. She just narcissist all around my flat, giving it all that. And I just had to keep cutting it. No. All these offers of help and how wonderful. No, yeah. Left swipe, delete. So I had to put up with it on this lesson. And then after that, I mean, it was so obvious that she was completely unhouse trained and was out for everything. And I thought, oh my God, she's a leech. She's just sucking energy out of everything for herself. And that was the end of that. And she did inadvertently ring me. She tried to gaslight me. It was so funny. No, you rang me. And it's like, are you going with that then, are you? Anyway, blocked her. Because she's not trying to... I think she thought she could set me up for herself. But now that a lot more healed than I was, I can spot it. So if that's you, write it down right from the beginning. Whoever pops into your head, how they treated you, and what you had to do. And when you get to the point where you were exhausted and you had to let them go because they were just draining you, ask for help to heal and they will heal you. It's really nice not to have so many holes in my auric field. And on that note, I'm going to leave you. Thank you. Bye.